Hello and welcome, Free Enterprise fans, to our Highway to the Zemus Zone 5 Blue Moon Waning brackets. My name is Dathas. I'm joined by Commander Leonhardt here in the booth, and we have one of yet another elimination matches coming in from David and TJ here. And I see an Edge Start. Commander, how you doing tonight, and how are you feeling about the start?
I'm doing good. Happy to be here with you all. We've got Alice Hill rolling us up this wonderful seed, and Ribbon Quest making sure everything gets lit up, keeping us straight in the booth. Edge start is good times. You've got that fast anchor. We've got Neki on over here in the Blue Moon, so he's not going to start out with a black belt and a bandana, but honestly, with T Wildish on, he should be up and running in no time.
Oh, absolutely. We've seen many upon many in ninja swords, sometimes in seeds where he himself does not appear. So we're kind of hoping that with him here, he does channel that energy. If anything else, you're really hoping for a lot of darts because he may not do a lot of damage with swinging, but he sure can yeet some damage.
Bosses look to be a bit on the cranky side for the Blue Moon. We got Baigan, we got Dark Knight Cecil, we've got Ogopogo, we've got the true ruler of the moon, the Ant Lion. We've also got a Paledem and a Mylon Zed.
Yeah, that is a whole bunch of pain depending on where we find them. Pain Man himself, the Dark Knight Cecil, can either be tickle or a whole bunch of headache you don't want to deal with. Then we have not only the Nope Rope, but we have the Canadian Nope Rope, as well as Paledem, who is in fact a dragon when you go and fight him, as opposed to, the King of Dragons, Bahamut, who is sir not appearing as our required bosses today.
Dragon is a suggestion in FF4. This is what I've learned.
He's our hallowed father of the Eidolons. How is he not a dragon?
He's an Eidolon.
But he's Bahamut. And he's Bahamut. We're on our way. We're about to get started and see who's going to be paired with this edge and what key item we're getting. We have a Sid, so there's a nice anchor for later on. There's a
That'll
Sparkle,
work.
possible boss, and well, you don't have to find that required hook because there it is. Do you want to go underground or do you want to just find your characters and run for some levels?
Ribbon Crest wants to know that if he was a dragon, would that make him a false Eidolon? I only wish I had thought of that first.
You know what? No, that's a really good question. We'll have to address that later. But we do, again, want to give a big shout out to Ribbon Quest, who is our tracker, and Alicel, who is our restreamer, as we see that the runners are having a little bit of divergence. We have TJ thinking, I have enough power. I mean, Edge's Flame is a great way to start. Save, and just do some of these bosses right quick. Well, David, gonna pick up some characters because we need a party.
Neither runner going to Bedward for the free key item.
I mean, you can kind of route that in a little bit later too. You don't have to go there right away. We have the main key item we're looking for. So characters into maybe some other looting areas. Not a bad call. It depends on how you want to route your pathing around. TJ does in fact take that chest and honestly rewarded with probably the nicest thing you could have found.
That's a good call. That you love when you. That's the sort of chest loot that makes you go, I gotta loot this chest more often in the future.
Oh man. Okay, so that's a really good question, Commander. What is a chest that has done that to you?
Oh, go into Sylph Cave, and those two chests on the right, and grab them. I will usually save and grab them. Not so much on Blue Moon, because by the time I get underground, I've already been forced through a hook route and gotten everything I need. But in other flag sets, I like those chests.
All right, so we have an Earth Hammer. We have a Ninja Sword that was just picked up here in Watery Pass, and we have pretty much the only part that we really were missing from this seed. We have ourselves a Rosa, one of the better, if not the best, white mages. There have been some VODs of Zeromus missing Porum, where she is the better white mage, but that's back and forth. Everyone can have their opinions. I am a huge fan of Rosa, though.
Denari, that could well be a self-fulfilling prophecy.
I love the fact that Chad is already getting in on some of these puns as well. I absolutely love
Hey.
it. But we have just a little bit of looting going on. Not really the deep dive. You don't have an exit caster, so it really makes sense. Just as well as you're in this region here, going right up to Damsian as we have TJ. But this is as I was saying, you loot Watery Pass, just a quick little hook over to the west, and you got yourself
Yeah.
Troya. So we got multiple treasures that's gonna be looted. I'm kind of excited to see just what power we have.
And I like and I see the value in running it this way. It's something I'll have to start keeping in mind. By doing a little bit of looting, David makes sure to have some money to go into Troya where there's an extra item shop and get some shopping done while he's here.
PJ actually finding himself a really nice elven bow there. Blitz a second earth hammer too. So there's some good stuff. Also silk webs in Troya pub. That's probably one of the nicest things along with those cure threes. That
Yes.
will let Rosa kind of be more of a DPS if we happen to find a heroine robe somewhere. Elven bow, heroine robe, some good arrows,
Party
and you're
bow.
kind of set.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Ah,
So, about that bedward item, not a big deal. We'll just,
um,
we'll get to it eventually.
so there's an open seed.
Right? But with 2 key item checks, we are now down to only having 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 bosses we can't reach. Just like that.
I mean, you know what? You gotta take those where you can get them. And honestly, as a runner, if I saw this, I'd be like, well, now we have a bit of a panic mode on our hands
Oh,
because
yes.
everything's there. Speaking of, we have here's the elements. This is a spot you actually don't mind finding them, and it looks like JT. Oh no, I'm gonna reset out. I would be kind of tempted to check this, but then again, I'm also very much a loot goblin, and I love the back of Watery Pass.
it's it is a very valuable loot location because the only way in is through that boss. Um, but yeah, you might be able to flame Mylon out before dealing with a shift. It could work.
Especially with the Ninja Blade, you're looking at no reductions to his intelligence stat, so he's going to be able to get a good set of damage off, and with the weakness and everything. And if that doesn't do it, I mean, he's got the Ice Claw that he can just kind of
Mm.
go around and pop the Rubicante next with, so nothing to really be worried about in that fight whatsoever. Or Rosa with the Elven Bow, even.
Sure. Because Rubicon in the Elements fight is a mage, and Edge is also fast enough to keep up with that waterfall boss.
Indeed, and this is a boss that you honestly kind of hate to see no matter where they are. Who loves an extra 10,000 HP on top of your current boss location?
What if I told you there was a spot to fight him where he didn't get that bonus HP? Would you want to see him there?
Why would you lie to me like this? I actually didn't know there was a spot. Where is that?
Apparently the Elements fight and the Giant, because it's already maxed.
Wait, hold on. What? I honestly never knew that. I thought he
This
still
is
got the
what I've
extra
been
10k there.
told. This is what I've been told, that since you're already at the max, it basically just puts it into the buffer. But I
Huh.
will have to actually science this someday.
Oh, absolutely. We have to really go and
Get
find.
him about 56k and see if he explodes.
Speaking of, we have an explosion on JT side, more like a tickle. We're gonna get probably a little bit of a flame from Edge here, just because it's gonna be nice and quick to take care of everything here. Yeah, and David is in fact hot on his heels. I really don't blame them. You're kind of looking for a little bit of loot. You want some good quick key items.
Mm-hmm.
The big thing is you're kind of wanting to fill out your party because again, as we have our 7 specific characters that we're going to find, once we find them, we're kind of done with our character checking. And
Yep.
looking at this party right now, not actually that bad. You've got your healer, you've got Palom for dealing with any shenanigans, you've got Kane for Valvalis is in a weird spot, slash Kane just being, the best character in the game. It's not a biased opinion, and I will fight everybody on that. Oh, he does have a Drain Spear or Sword equipped, though. I mean, that's a good start. He, in fact, can solo Zeromus.
So can Edward.
Yeah, but one, you don't have to actually push buttons. But we do have a button that gets to be pushed by Ribbon Quest. That's the Luca key. That's a nice little find. With the warp glitch on, Luca Cave technically goes down in value check-wise, but you also want to check that boss location because there's the chances where you can get that little bit of a cheeky boss there.
Yeah, and it gets that number down. Now we'll be down to 6 bosses we can't see. Once you get that number low enough, you increase the chance that you can just go into face check mode and not have to fight things for their key items, which is a nice place to be.
Oh, absolutely. And again, David showing up are one of the best things about that Earth Hammer. A very quick quake coming out. That's exactly what you'd love to see from some of these J items, or items that can be used as J items. And there's some leg. We're not going to see quarter leg. We're not going to see full leg. I'm a little disappointed. Hey, somebody get my Apple in here real quick.
Yet no leg press today. We don't need to take that fight. The only way you get Fu on Blue Moon is if you start with him. We did not start with Fu, so there'll be no coming back to clear a boss just to give him spells.
And as pointed out, no legs, only arms, and just noodles. That is very true. We're going to have some noodly arms from Baigan, and we've got at least 2 different noodles that we don't want to see somewhere later on. But yeah, it's we got about 10 minutes in. We've got a lot of checks honestly been done, and we have everybody's favorite camping equipment that we do not see in Red Moon, actually. No cabins in Red, but here in Blue, they are very plentiful, and they are very welcome to see.
Wait, no cabins at all? What?
As far as I'm aware, I think it's S no cabins in Red Moon. I could be very incorrect on that.
Did not even know that was a flag. Huh.
Oh yeah, because there's the fact of getting camping equipment for healing, and if you don't have cabins, you have to really pick how well is that. Hey, look, I didn't do anything. I'm just here for comms. I'm sorry, I didn't do it. Y'all can't prove anything. Scala telling me that is not a flag. I'm just pulling some shenanigans.
I did not think it was. I know no life is a flag.
That's very true.
That's a flag.
But yeah, this is the alt gauntlet. You may be used to seeing a whole bunch of officers, soldiers, the occasional imp, and some other things here. Unfortunately, you will not be seeing those 6 fights. Instead, you'll be seeing 5 fights that are being drugged from the local encounter tables. These are some nice fun things, such as the big amount of imps, the cockatrices, which are always pretty entertaining, as well as some needle hogs. Alt Gauntlet, nice little way of rescanning some things that we normally just look at and go, hey, not a big fan, but you don't see them. And when you do see them, you go, wait, that can do that?
You're not wrong, Denari, about this being an impulsive battle. You have a point.
And this is where Edge really shines in. You have the ability to have him just flame pretty much everything down, and whatever he can't handle like that is basically just a quick little auto attack from him and from somebody else.
But like the disrespect this gauntlet is showing to Sid and the Earth Hammer. We have these flying cockatrices and this flying Will just laughing at him, you know. I mean, they can't laugh at the flame, but still.
Yeah, it's the only problem with the Earth Hammer is there are enemies that can actually be immune to the damage, so while you're watching out for that, you unfortunately can miss that, and it's the flying enemies, little problem.
And, you know, with some alt gauntlets, even if you're not familiar with the encounters, you expect it, you know. You see a bunch of cockatrices hovering in the air, bobbing with shadows. You're not going to use an Earth Hammer. But fun times if you run across one of Senator Crocodile's alt gauntlets and try to Earth Hammer the Electfish.
Yeah, that was a lovely awakening from when we were looking away. I'm sorry, what? What?
Sand Ruby, just a big ol' womp womp on See No Earned. one step closer to 10 key items is about all we can say for it.
But you know what? The real important thing was the boss objective that we got along the way, which is, something that's very welcomed. Another part about the Sand Ruby is if you are in very desperate need of a heal, you would at least have that for free while you're checking, anything else.
And now we have Rydia, a character that there are many opinions about, both for and against.
Absolutely, and all of them are kind of valid. Rydia is arguably a worse black mage, but she does have the ability to learn warp early, which is nice. Even though we do have Palom, we're probably gonna get into Quake. There's also the fact that she is one of the most versatile mages. If you get her a few levels up on Palom and she gets access to that 60 MP really quickly, if you find yourself Leviathan, or even if you find a half decent summon inside of the front of Hobbs when we have that flag going, there's a lot of options for her to be, very good early on, and in fact outshine Palom.
It really does come down to her summons and when you get those and how well they work for you. It makes or breaks Rydia. $59 damage. Get it.
Look, 59 damage is more than 0, and that's really all that matters. And we see the weapon shop here. Silver archers and a drain sword. Again, I would personally be very tempted to not pick that drain sword up for a couple of reasons. Again, one, in case you absolutely need to do some Drain Venger strats. But there's that. And we have the slice heard around the world here at the back attack spot, though. Very much a fan of Odin here.
But is David going to give us time to see that, or is David just going to get through? For those of you watching that do not know what Dathis is referring to, when the Odin attack executes, the sprite moves to the right like it's programmed to, and then hits the party coming in from the left side of the screen.
There is yet another boss that does the exact same action, and it is Yang. When he is kicking from the back, he in fact goes all the way around and hits from behind. He changes from monk and multi-classes into rogue at that point, gets that sneak attack damage in. It's not much, but it happens. Speaking of not much, it doesn't take much more than a lit 2 to put Odin down. 2,000 damage. This place has got not that much. And yeah, we've got another quick fight down, and not a required boss, but we're getting there, and you really hope this ordeal pays off.
Yeah, Odin is super weak to lightning. You don't get just the double damage from a lot of elemental weaknesses, you get quadruple damage. And yeah, kaboom.
Also, that is a really nice find for TJ in case he gets way too many levels on that Sid. There is the option of cursed rings in Mysidia. That is very, very nice to know about.
Yeah.
We get music, but we don't get a required boss. We have yet more imps here in the top of the mountain. So 3 bosses you're kind of okay with getting out of the way. Well, Dark Imps you kind of want to see in a freer place for XP grinding maybe, but...
Yeah. Dark Imps can be rude in a few spots. I really hate finding these guys at Baron and 2. But here, no big deal at all. It is quite impressive, Denari. It is.
Well, David's a little bit of impatient here because we have nothing we're really gaining aside from a key item while we're waiting for these cutscenes to run out, because we know Cecil's going to become a paladin, no Tella's going to gain spells. We're just kind of here for being here.
Yeah, the runners know how imperative it is to get going, and you're either catching up or you're trying to build a lead. But either way, you gotta be moving. Move.
And in an impressive way, we do have David here coming and taking a quick use of the Siren to take care of these Liliths. And also a very heads-up play of using Cure 2s to do some damage, because they are in fact undead, so you have that little bonus.
Yeah, it's important to have Palom in particular learning Quake as soon as you can. So fight some Liliths here, maybe get through Eblan Castle, maybe even learn Quake during it, and you can use it.
I'm really curious about what sort of impact that we're going to have from this use of a siren. I really think that it is hopefully not going to impede some levels later on.
Probably not.
Look, I think the important thing is that we're going to have a little bit of imparting of some bonus experience, and that's kind of what we're asking for here.
Down, down, down the mountain we go. We've done Fable, we've done Antline. The only check of the main checks is Baron Inn. And we've still got Twin Harp as an option.
Considering the team that we have, I don't think that Twin Harp fading is going to be a thing most runners would do. It is a little out of the way, but if you can get it completely gone and out of your mind, that's really what's going to matter the most, because you're kind of looking for the ability to just get some of these checks that you have waiting on your mind. It's like, I could have gone there earlier. I could have had this done. Who knows?
Yeah, and a good point about the party composition. A party full of mages might find themselves at an impasse with going to Twin Harp, but you've got plenty of melee ability to deal with that spot.
Oh, exactly. They have enough pointy weapons where they can just impale the whatever enemies there, and we'll get right through whatever fight. Just like TJ, again, utilizing Lit 2 in a really quick shot. And there is the fact that we can't talk about the importance enough of what we go to do for some of these checks. Again, as I mentioned, out of the way checks that you just look at and go, I really shouldn't think about that, because then they could just be in the back of your mind the entire seed. And it's then, if it is required and it's something that may be hard required, like say, for example, the Torn Harp has the ability to hold that Baron key and Baron is hard required, that's going to be something that you might look later and go, maybe I should have done here sooner. But we do have an impure seed that is no vanilla here at this table. It is two character sprites, but it is the Baron guard. Sorry, it's the Kaipo guards, not the Baron guards.
We've had a little bit of vanilla, but it is a low count, and I agree that does make things a bit imperfect.
Look, we can't impugn on the fact that Alicel is a fantastic restreamer and has rolled some great seeds. So as much as we want to talk about the fact that vanilla is just happening only very rarely, we have to appreciate the work that she does behind the scenes.
It's true. Wait, is this Zed? Is it Zed? Hey,
Ooh.
we've got our second objective taken care of right here at Baron Inn.
Yeah, poor Mylon. We were just having a nice little chat with the piggy, and then he had to impose himself upon us.
Are you implying that it would be bad to skip this check?
Oh, it'd be absolutely inappropriate.
It would be a bit impetuous to go past it, and
Ooh,
unfortunate.
That was good. That was a good one. It, in fact, might impair our ability to move forward depending on what sort of key item we have here. I'll take them.
Sure. Decent arrows. That'll work.
Elven bow, samurai arrows allows again for us to put some damage on that Cid if we don't want to have him use an axe, or if we want to have Rosa do some damage, because again, some of these fights you're at the point where you don't really need to do damage, sorry, to have any healings, so she gets to be the epitome of the archer that she really is.
TJ is heading into Eblan Castle, while it looks like David is landing at Freya. You know, There could be an impending music check.
I do so love when we have a little bit of improv from Eddie, and when he changes up from his usual Edwards theme to anything that is placed by one of the six or so hundred songs that are in the pool now, almost as high up as the amount of Z sprites. I'm very much here for those.
Yeah, and Cat, big fan. We're all a big fan of seeing music. It's when this check gets made, it really has an impact on our enjoyment of the race.
And the really nice thing is that it's always been implied by the rest of the community that this is something that we love to see because the music and just a little bit of changes here from the vanilla things we see. That speaking of, I'm going to talk about that. TJ just happened to found one of my favorite things. That is a Dragoon Spear. That is Kane with some good stuff. That you no longer have to worry about some damage.
Yep, and it was commented on earlier how many of the bosses are, we've got our Paladin that is, a true dragon, and, we might have to go through a Wyvern. There are a few dragon bosses, but also there are a couple of grinds that the power of the Dragoon Spear is very effective, but we're going to have to put our lovely commentary on hold for a moment as DJ Spoony Bar will play us a song.
Yeah, we don't want to impede on his music and just let him take over the show. And with that brief pause, Alphel's sanity has partially come back because we got to do a little less talking, and we do have some music with a D-Mist fight that took a little bit of a minute, whereas TJ finds himself a great crystal sword. That is something to sell. That is a womp, though. Moonveil, you kind of want to keep that, though, maybe?
Yeah. There are a couple of bosses here on the table, Pildim and Baigon, where one character with the Moonveil would feel a lot safer. But yeah,
Absolutely.
D-Mist was imploring us to listen to the music from our wonderful impresarios.
Indeed. And again, while there was no real want behind it, we were one with some great music. And we do know that here inside Evelyn Castle is a plethora of items that will make Kane go from, the casual DPS to one of the most important members of our party.
Glass helm. We don't hit a glass helm. Speaking of all of these physical punchy bosses, something that could be useful.
Absolutely. And the really nice thing is that TR is going to provide a little bit of defense for Rosa against anything draconic. So that's always good. It's funny when you see a light sword and you're happy to see that than a crystal sword when you have no Cecil, because the crystal sword is, hey, this is money. The light sword is, ooh, I can eat this.
Yeah. Crystal Sword does many, many things, but you can throw an Avenger. You can throw pretty much any spear in the game, though not Spear for reasons.
I think Wind Spear is another one.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, I think you're right. Flame Spear also not going anywhere.
Blizzard Spear too, actually. I think all the elemental spears you cannot throw, aside from white spears.
Yeah, you could definitely throw a white spear. It's good times.
Oh, absolutely, it's a great time. I have done many a white spear yeeting in my time. But TJ finding out the bad news that the ogres are so mad that they do not allow you to do any damage to them magically. However, we did have an HP run out.
Nice. It's always impressive when you see that happen.
It's very important because we don't see it happen very often, and when we do see it, it's what you want to see.
But normally you have to beat them up, and the enemies generally aren't kind enough to just implode for you, but you take it when it comes.
Yeah, they can't all be Mom Bomb. Oh, wait, hold on. No, that's Explode. My bad. And speaking of things that are a little bit annoying, you are finding that these poor ogres are just saying, "Hey, we're not going to let you get some XP on some of these characters." You kind of want Kane to let Kane get some experience because he's going to be a very important part later on. But I mean, he can still go without some levels right now, especially with that Dragoon Spear and the Defense Sword, really.
Yeah, we just get some Hanzo for Edge, and we'll be on a roll.
I mean, another ninja sword would be just as good. Hanzo Steel is a fantastic item to find, but ninja swords more than acceptable and more than something that'll work out for him. But the question is, what do we have here? Just the charm staff. That heroin robot's sitting worth more than the chest beside it.
Right? T-Wildish can do pretty good on the untrapped chests, and there's not much worse than the feeling of going through all the struggles on a trap chest only to walk next to it and get something much better for free.
Or you see the exact same item that you got from a trap chest in a chest that was untrapped beside it, and you just look at it and go, I'm sorry, what did I just look at?
Good times, though.
Oh, absolutely. There's some fantastic shenanigans happening, and I'm 100% here for it. But yeah, we're getting the joys of some of these trap chests and just how strong some of these ogres can really hit. The really interesting thing is when you throw in a rune ring and they start doing like no damage to you.
Yeah, Mad Ogres being mage type, you can put a rune ring or a ribbon on and have protection against mages.
David taking a little rough of a wipe there. Again, if you're not fully set up and you're not fully ready, these ogres can kind of do some damage. TJ had gone through the right side, so he did have some bonus XP from there. So levels at this point kind of playing a big factor, but the tenacity of just to like take everything you see and then go right back into it is pretty big.
Yeah. Of the 3 trap chests in Evelyn, Mad Ogres have probably given me more trouble than any other. They each have their quirks to get around, but the Mad Ogres are the worst of the 3 for me.
Oh, absolutely. They can be 100% the worst, or they can be the best, depending on what your party setup is. You throw a quick little stop, and with Edge, you maybe steal a couple of Bacchus wines while you're here if you don't think you're going to find them anywhere else.
Yeah, maybe someone in the back row, like Rosa in the back row with a glass hat and an elven bow, can probably shoot them all down on her own. But it's still a bit of a mess sometimes.
Yeah, and I mean, a nice little 200 bonk from a power staff is nothing really to scoff at. Again, the heroine robe kind of turns Rosa from, a great white mage and healer aspect to where she just says, excuse me, let me bonk with the big boys.
Kane just casually dropping 1100 with a drain weapon on a jump. No big deal.
Again, the really nice thing about Drain plus his jump is a very solid aspect of just straight damage. He gets to heal himself. He gets to do a little bit of, actually a lot of bit of work, and kind of just looks and goes, "This is what's happening now. Sorry, there is not much you can do about it." And TJ taking the fight in Baron, getting nice, quick little two boss kills. Again, nothing really special besides that Sand Ruby that we know of. We're really, really looking for anything else, and this is pushing him towards a Redux music, or maybe even a full-on loot of Troya. And again, this is why it's nice to kind of let it sit for a little bit. It could be Vanilla Twin Harp from Edward, which that's always fun, but just getting and routing this later on when you find something in the area, not really bad. Again, no route is bad. Every route has the option to be very beneficial.
Yeah, it's really about what works for you as a runner. There are advantages and disadvantages to any route that you might choose, and for me to sit up here and say that a specific route is the only way to tackle a seed would be extremely improper.
Indeed. We can actually even have a little impromptu discussion while we have the runners going back and forth. Not only to just say thank you very much to our restreamer again, Alicel, for making the seed as fantastic as it is, but as well as Ribbon Quest for putting making sure we're keeping up with what item has been popped up by one on each scene. So we're not just improving what we have found. Also want to give a big shout out to you, Commander, for being here as co-coms with me. Always a pleasure.
And right back at you, Dathis. Good times. Looking forward to what the rest of this race is going to bring us.
Absolutely. And while we're looking at it, we're just, again, the thing I was going to mention is whenever people talk about, oh, well, I think this is the most efficient way of doing this, again, that's a way that works for you, and there's nothing wrong with that. What works for other runners is great too. What could be seen as, hey, this may be a low percentage check, can kind of pay out. I've seen checks that people go, oh, well, you shouldn't be, this is, in theory, not really great because it should only have this, and it's got everything behind it. And those are the checks that I absolutely love because you won't see them from some runners till way in the end, and some runners will pick them up immediately. And those are my favorite times in racing.
Yep, and so much of it is situational. It, as has been said already, it's very improvisational. You take what the seed gives you and you react to it and you go with it the best way you can, you know? Getting a key item in a certain spot can completely change how you go about the seed.
Absolutely. And that's one thing that's a mark of a really good runner is where you don't you don't fit a seed to your running style, you fit your running style to the seed. Every seed is going to be different. There's going to be the times where you're going to see nothing but mages and you have to work around that. Your time where you're going to find all your bruisers and be okay with that. It really is going to depend on what you can do with what you're given and how you can use said tools to the most advantage that you possibly have.
And for everyone out in chat that isn't already a part of the Free Enterprise Discord, that is where you can go to learn how to play this game, how to get these seeds run, and get a lot of good advice on how exactly the randomizer works. Far more in depth than Dathis and I possibly go into during this broadcast. So if you like what you're seeing and you want to learn more about how you play it, go check it out. There are plenty of people there that'll be happy to let you know what's going on.
Absolutely. And if you see these flags, you say, "Oh, this looks like it'd be something fantastic I want to do, but I don't think that I can be up to this snuff." Well, guess what? You don't have to run flags just like this. We have flags where you have power overwhelming in the first 5 minutes, and we have flags where you have all of 3 items to get through the entirety of a seed. You can make this as hard or as easy as you want, and that's kind of what you get to look forward to in the free enterprise the most. Finding out what kind of seeds you like. Do you like running tournament style stuff? Perfect. You can join us on tournaments. Would you like to just play it nice and casually? I myself, as a filthy casual, very much enjoy doing that once in a while.
Yeah. Kind of like there's no wrong way to attack a specific seed, there's no wrong way to play this randomizer. There are people that will load up a seed and make a point of hunting down all 399 chests, satisfy their inner loot goblin before finishing everything.
Just add me, why don't you?
You're not the only one. But for now, we're gonna get an encore of this impressive music.
While David goes and chases down some dolls.
And another quick thank you as the music wraps up to chat. Thank you for coming out here and watching, cheering the runners on, and playing along with Deathus and mine's word games.
Absolutely. And TJ doing a little bit of divergence from David and keeping that moon veil. Again, I'm very curious to see if that provides any level of advantage later on, or is there going to be a spot where that moon veil is just going to make everything or all the difference in a fight that could be very hard. However, that is a required boss down this hook route.
And TJ is having to walk this moon veil out. This is not a party with access to exit unless you loot the item, and that was probably a big factor in David's decision not to keep it.
Absolutely. The place that we've seen him so far has only been in Eblan Cave. So the Eblan shop there is going to be a little bit of a priority to buy some stuff. We also saw some Bacchus wines and some Hourglass 2s, just to reiterate some of the fun things that are there. And David, yeah, looks at this antlion and says, "I need you to leave real quick, please." And is about to find a nice free boss here. You have Hourglasses from Eblan. You can just kind of take this, stop the ones in the back, cast Flame, use that Earth Hammer. You have, oh, and Hallam can do whatever spells he has. Like, this is basically a, oh, we have Quake. Yeah, no, I'm sorry, this is gone. This fight's nothing to scoff at.
Yeah, the Quake alone should get the job done. The Hourglass is nice for safety, though. Quake is a wonderful spell because it's built to multi-target. It doesn't split up its damage just because it's going after 6 dolls. Not quite rolling high enough, but A, they're Hourglass, and B, there's a flame that's trying.
Yeah, it's really not a big deal. The fact that they're stopped means we can just kind of do whatever you want, and you don't get to worry too much about anything in that aspect. So it's just quick little bits here, two bosses that you look at and go, this could be rude spots, but and we're through it really quickly. Around the 43-minute mark, we're gonna have David fall down through the trapdoor, maybe get a little peek at a boss, and we have our first runner underground with three bosses in tow.
Yeah, but and 42 is a quite fine time, especially with a twin heart check already taken care of. But we've got another objective right here at the top of the tower. That's a bygone.
Honestly, probably one of the best places you can find him. You can almost do an impromptu arm grind on him with Quake, so you're not unhappy with that.
No, yeah, Quake is very good for arm locking Baigon. You just keep picking off the arms, and Baigon has to recover each and every time, and it just completely impedes his ability to put any kind of offense down on you.
Yeah, the nice thing is again, I think Quake should pretty much handle those should pretty much be able to handle the arms no problem with the items we have on our Quack Kid. I would be sorely tempted to take that fight first, but David, going and doing the fight in the Dwarf Castle, not bad. Get it out of the way. That's two
Mhm.
bosses and two key item checks.
Yeah, and David's thought probably is that if there's a chance he can find a tower key before going up the tower, it'll make things more efficient. A lot of runners have similar thoughts about the pan and whether or not they want to deal with, you know, get as much checks done in the overworld before diving down Sylph Cave, hoping to find a pan. We've been seeing a lot of that as runners make their way underground in this tournament.
So I saw a quick reset from David, and chat said there was an objective. What kind of shenanigans did we see? Was that Golbez in the first spot?
It,
Oh
wa-
boy.
it was indeed Golbez in the first slot.
Uh, that's just a wee little bit rude, my man.
A bit.
That's a faster spot than you kind of want to talk about, and I don't. And its magic
Well,
isn't even that great.
the first slot's pretty slow, but it's got a decent amount of HP, and the magic is rather impressive in that spot. Um, so it's not ideal. Get yourself a wall up and let him zap himself, but it's still a bit cranky.
Indeed, and the idea that David now knows where that boss is says, you know what, I can fight that later. Let's do the other part of it was where you check your objectives, you check your freebies, and there is nothing freer than a Fey March check. You get yourself one key item, you get two bosses to peek at, and you think, can I handle this now? We do have some of our free bosses on the table. We have Bygone guards kicking around somewhere. We have King Eblin. We have technically Karate isn't free, especially if he's in that Leviathan spot. But it's stuff you like to see. Whereas we have a party rock.
Okay. Good old Earth Crystal
Ooh,
opening
thanks.
up. Technically just opening up one boss check, but um, really, realistically, it's opening up two. Going up to Zot 1 just to look for the boss definitely is on the list of cheekiness.
Indeed, and we do have 6 key items with with those sirens there. You could just buy about 15, 20 right now, and that's going to be good for majority of the seed. Pop about 5 to 6 of them, get yourself some levels, and then finish the rest off after you get your 10 key items, if you get your 10 key items.
And even if you don't, probably still enough by the time you get through what you have to do, unless the
Oh yeah.
rest of these bosses show up quickly.
Ooh, we have Sparkle. Let's see if it's required. Ooh, it is!
And okay, so now we know where 6 of them are. David now knows he only needs to lay eyes on one more objective, either Ogopogo or DKC, and he'll be in go mode.
Oh, personally, I would have been sorely tempted to take that fight, especially with the Dragoon Spear on the cane.
Sure.
But yeah, this is
And
really smart. You're gonna take some of the 10 sirens that were purchased. I'm gonna crack some eggs. I think after about 2 or 3 of them, you kind of just look and you go, yeah, we're gonna take care of this.
but yeah, Dragoon Spear and Glass Hat, Kane jumping from the back row. It could probably solo that fight.
Oh man, not even that. So what you do, I mean, that's another good reason. You have glass hat, you have dragoon armor, you have the dragoon spear. You berserk him and you just kind of sit back. You don't care who
It's
gets hit
true.
at that point.
It's true.
You can even be really cheeky and just have Rosa constantly blink herself and just be like, if anybody else dies, who cares? I get XP on my Rosa.
Setting up power couple strats. Alternative.
The unrequited couple strats. Yeah, we're getting some levels. We have warp on the kid. That means that the Dwarf Castle is a very much more attractive check right now, because we can get that second key item peak from this Palom. Yeah, I very much expect to see at least 3 more sirens be cracked, just because that gives Kane all the opportunity to just damage and go to town.
Yeah, and Golbez in the first slot makes it very unreliable to try and get the XP out of Dwarf Castle on Palom to learn Warp. You have no guarantee that Palom's going to get through the first fight. That's where most of the XP is. And then you have to try and revive him to start the second fight, and best not to go there.
Yeah, and especially depending on what that second fight is, that might not even happen. We could see Leviathan there. We could see a required Ogopogo and make that like 100% required Dwarf Castle. Like there's a whole bunch of fights that you just look at and go, oh, I don't want to see this here, and it just prevents Palom from gaining experience. Whereas TJ gets to that first fight, we have Antlion down on his side, and he's getting the wonderful news of the 3 dolls. A couple of hourglasses get in tow, and I don't foresee this fight being much of a problem.
No. And
save early, save often, people.
Yes, you might not be worried about those dolls, but nevertheless, you really don't want to fight that antlion again. So go ahead and save and get back on up there. The peace of mind. Peace of mind.
Oh, absolutely. There is nothing worse in the middle of a race losing 10 plus minutes because you took a wipe and you hadn't saved recently. I don't know what that's like, ever. No. I will take no further questions at this time, Your Honor.
It is a crushing feeling, to be sure.
Absolutely. And everyone's done it at one point or another, because you
Yes.
occasionally forget. Everybody forgets. Just like I am one of the people who, if I was in David's shoes, I have mashed the A button a little bit too quickly, and I have heard the siren sound go off while I'm raising on my airship, and I'm just like, I didn't know that was a thing. Yeah, that's a hard lesson to learn.
That's fascinating.
See, I'm glad that I could educate you, Commander, without you having to do it yourself. You're welcome.
Is that like plinking a siren? Is that what this is basically?
Essentially,
like you jam the input so fast that.
Look, I'm just that efficient. That's what I'm gonna say here, and I will never not say anything else. I'm that good at pushing buttons. Especially if you ask some of the admin team. I don't know who would say I'm good at pushing those buttons, but some people might say I am. I mean, all we really have to do is say one word and we can push the admin buttons, but we're not going to really tie down in this conversation.
No, let's not impeach the admin's authority here.
Look, we just don't need to get ourselves completely wrapped up in something that could cause such a headache and such issues with some of our wonderful, fantastic ZZ admin, some of which who are in this restream right now and could actually yeet me from the booth and deserve it.
Ribbon Quest making an important note that TJ might not have noticed that Baigan at the top of the tower gotta take a couple little steps to the right to be able to see it.
Also, there is some more. We do have Dishmu, who is a fantastic runner in his own right. I do remember him from the full Gauntlet. It's saying that if you siren on a doorway or on a trapped enemy spot, like the Behemoth counter, siren bonks are real and frustrating. Absolutely, hard same. But David did enough of those sirens and says, hey, let's go fight us a Golbez, and actually is fast anchoring this fight.
I like it. It's a slow spot. I'm here for it. The second spot's fast. But the first one's slow. Also, you'll get the siren yell if you... Basically, anywhere there's no encounter table. Stairways. I accidentally fired off a siren inside Dwarf Castle once and was just like, alright, yeah, thanks.
That's kind of entertaining. I don't think I've ever done that. But we do have Golbez doing a little bit of tying down of some people. Kane and Palom are bound in Cold Mist, whereas Edge and Rosa are not. I really wonder if this is going to hit those two, or who are we going to hit? Poor Rosa. That's where you want the experience.
Just leaving Kane and Edge.
Team Yeeton Dart. Actually, no, just Team Yeet, because one yeets himself to the sky, one yeets weapons. That's my canonical team, or name for these teams now, because we know we have Team 90 HP, we have Team No Country for Old Men, we have Team Power Couple, we have so many of the lovely starting pairs, and I'm going to go with those two as Team Yeet from now on.
Fair enough. Irish just yeeted half of that team out.
Yeah, as you said, the stats here are really nothing to scoff at. If you're not prepared, then they can do some good damage. However, a couple of reflected spells, one quick attack from Edge, and we have ourselves a nice little fight wrapped up. Only Edge alive. This could be kind of questionable depending on who's next, but generally not going to be that bad. Oh yeah, absolutely not.
Yeah, not a problem.
This is almost at the point where you can kind of get a couple people up with some stuff, but I also think that yeah, it's just fine with I think what 3-4 swings with the HP that's here, and poor Yang cannot hit his upgrade in Edge.
I think David might still be rocking a ninja shirt.
Oh, he absolutely is.
And it 70% physical evade on his own, good absorb, +3 to agility. The ninja shirt has some definite utility. Runners do tend to favor offense, generally rightly so, but don't overlook the ninja shirt.
Absolutely, and one thing we really don't want to overlook is the fact that TJ, after getting that party rock, is doing a great little check here. Quake does not cause Pale Dim to reflect any or do any counter damage. So, because if you hit him with any elemental attack, he will absorb it and then kind of just put the pain back into you, and that's not what you want to see. However, Quake being a
you mean like flame?
Oh yeah, hey, look what happens when you do that. You don't want to find out the magic in that spot.
Hey, thanks to the power of the warp glitch, we can get underground now.
No. No, we can't.
Thank goodness for the warp glitch.
Yeah, that's a key item you would generally not walk out anyways. But the nice thing is getting us closer to our 10 key items, which we do see the fact that we have 8 right now, so that's very, very good. 2 more key items, and then David is in double XP territory, and it's at the point where you kind of want to take those and go. And I agree with what David's doing. 100% come back down to the Spay March. You kind of want to hope Pan is not hidden somewhere, or even at Vanilla Sheila 1, so you can kind of do the one last dip of Fabul. You don't want a triple dip. That always feels a little bit bad, but Sheila, more often than not, has the goods.
Power Key and Pan are on my list of favorite vanillas because, I mentioned a lot of runners like to save those checks until it's a single run, and as we mentioned earlier, there are differences in how to route things, not a right or a wrong.
Absolutely.
And I'm a bigger fan of going ahead and making that keyless check and getting Sheila 1 out of the way early. So when I see those, it's one of those things that goes off in my head and says, aha, I might have a leg up.
Exactly, and that's one of the nice things, and that's why I've actually been a fan of Keyless Tower, is because people go, oh, well, this isn't a check that's going to get you, high percentages, whatever. And again, high percentages, low percentages, the only percentage that matters is rando is going to rando. You take the check whichever feels good, and I'm always here for that. Speaking of being here for it, TJ is here to get that objective down, one boss slightly ahead of David, and gets the pass. I'm kind of okay with seeing that. Because
Yeah.
then you kind of incentivizes the moon checks.
Mm-hmm. Don't have to worry about, if you come back to Earth, having to go back up to the moon again and walk all the way down. If you wrap up on Earth, Troy is right next door. Head off to Z.
Absolutely. Ooh, that's a shot.
I don't often find the time to check the Feymark's weapon shop, but wow, that is paying off.
Right? I mean, we have some okay stuff for our poor Edge here, and he's got some okay items, so you can kind of be fine. I think if anything else, I'd be so tempted to grab the full moon just to back row him in case we happen to have a really annoying CPU where it is going to be a slog of a fight. And if Edge is not doing full damage to that back row, you're just kind of looking going, I regret everything.
Yeah. It's a definite feels bad. At least here in the Blue Moon, the back row glitch is on. So all you have to do is equip the full moon to the right hand, make sure it's the right hand, and then unequip it, and Edge will be back rowed for the rest of the game.
Wait, hold on. Which one's the right hand, Commander?
Now don't start that again. the right hand, obviously.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm asking. I'm asking you which one's the right hand.
No, who is on first?
Well, who's asking about who? I'm asking what's the right hand.
What's on second?
I'm not asking you who's on second.
Who is on first?
There I go, back on first base again.
Third base.
There I go, back on third base again. I want to know what's the... No, we're not going to go with that anymore. We're kind of done.
We're gone. We're done here.
But we do see TJ is going and going to be doing a little check in Dwarf 2, getting some fun items, and getting the good news of where that gold is. And again, I want to do a big shout out to Alicel and Ribbon Quest for putting up with us directly in the booth, and could have muted us, and taken over this broadcast on their own, and taken the gentleman out of the equation and made this a ladies' night. And I've been okay with that. But the fact that they let us keep talking through all of this, I'm kind of okay with this.
Oh.
Yes, Alicel, as a restreamer, I frequently put my mic on and talk over things as well. So you can, in fact, do that as an option.
I mean, Alicel did what she could to make this as quick as possible. Let's be honest. We haven't considered the moon. The only thing we've done extra overworld is Twin Harp, and we've already seen 6 out of 7 bosses.
Yeah, this is honestly for a seed that has been a little bit light on some action in some aspects. Like loot-wise, has been very okay. We are seeing a lot of bosses very quickly. Where those last two ones are going to come down to. Where are we going to find Pain Man? Where are we going to find this Ogopogo? That is such a question, and it could be in a really hard required spot.
Or it could just be Pain Man in the Super Cannon room with a vanilla tower key, and David could be in go mode in about 7 minutes.
And you know what? I'm 100% here for that. At that point,
Right.
you just go back down to the Feymarch, you buy some sirens, and you have a good time.
Yep.
So, Commander, let's while we have a little bit of treading up the tower and treading up other grounds from TJ, because again, big shout out to the fact that these runners are doing such a great job. Let's go back to what we saw character-wise. We have ourselves our current party that both runners have grabbed. We also had ourselves Iridia, and I can't remember our seventh. The real question is, would you have? Oh, sorry, Yang. Thank you, Ripon. Yang was our other one. Looking at every available option, would you have taken this party, and or what would you have swapped around with?
I would probably take Rydia instead of Sid. That would be my own change, and this goes back to what we said, individual preference. There are a lot of Sid fans out there, and I will freely acknowledge that he does a good job of early hit point beefy tank, pivoting to anchor at the end. But I worry less about keeping everyone at RA1 than the average runner, and I would probably take Rydia there instead.
Very fair. And the really nice thing about Sid is his agility growth is so very low that you can actually keep him up with levels, and you can get. Speaking of, big shout out to the fact that TJ kept not only Edge, but also this Kane alive going into this next fight, so it's going to be a little bit quicker on his part. That is a very, very well done fight. And also, Golbez very much behaving and casting all the lits on top of poor little Edge who had a Star Veil up. Nicest way he could have gone about this. But Baigan, as we see here, he's getting hit and he's getting just absolutely run down by this team.
Yep, it's just pretty straightforward. Though, here comes the Quake, and I think we're about to see, yeah.
Yep.
So,
Target
funny
edge.
thing about Quake, even if targets appear, and even though Quake is a hit everything on screen, it only is going to hit what it targets when you cast it. This is true of Quake, things like Bahamut. So we're going to have to come around for another pass.
Again, the nice thing is that Quake is basically taking out the arms in one shot, and we're just going to take everybody out at the same time. Just
Yep.
have a good time.
There we go.
If there's an adamant rock we can forge, we might get
forge.
we might get something nice for Sid. And if it's a Gigant axe, make sure you sell it because it has no value on anybody else. That's my story. I'm sticking to it. There is no story behind it. We're not going to talk about it. We're not going to talk about it, Commander.
Guardian Axe is a terrific supersmith weapon, though it's theoretically a Sid weapon. He rarely gets to wield it because Kain and Cecil are also allowed to use it, and they're just so much more effective.
Agreed. It does allow allow Sid when he is anchored with just a dwarf axe to actually output some good damage if you can swap out weapons in the middle of the Z fight. But giving it to Kane and letting him just kind of roam out with that axe, you have to put him in the top slot at that point. Because the biggest problem with axes is that their accuracy is so low. And it's just, you look at them and you go, I wish you were almost anything else sometimes. Their damage is so high. Like, the trade-off is 150% worth it. Like, you cannot fight that. But it's just one of those, like, you're playing such a gamble because you're playing hit roulette. Say you have 8 hits, you could only hit 4 of those and do 400 damage, or you could hit all 8 and then just do quad 9s and you can go, I'm sorry, do you want to try that again?
There are a couple of ways, like you say. If you have the character in the center slot, they benefit from a 25% accuracy increase, and jump also gives an accuracy boost if you're using Kane.
Oh, Ribbon Quest, that is a hot take, and it is very accurate. No, you know what? I'm actually
we don't have time for this.
No, we
Moving
100% do. No, we do. So TJ is going to be cracking some eggs and getting some levels, and David is running down the Luca Cave. So Ribbon's comment was 2d6 is better than 1d12. 100% 2d6 is better because you are going to get a better spread of numbers. and your average is going to be higher, and your minimums are going to be higher. So I am 100% here for 2d6 versus 1d12, but the d12, what do you use the d12 for? Nothing! I don't love it. It's never used.
Obviously, you've never played a 3rd edition Barbarian. Moving on.
I mean, look, a lot of barbarians, they do love their great axes, and it is fantastic. But it's just the d12 is used in like all of 3 different things, and it's like barbarian HP. Oh,
Look at this say about that Luca key. Look at this completely unrequired moon.
remember that time
here
when I
for
said
this. I'm
don't
here for
fade
this.
Luca? Remember that time when we say don't fade Luca?
Yes, I do remember saying that.
And this is why you never leave a check, because this is like 1 minute, 2 minutes, and
Right?
you have yourself like a boss check. It's like you don't have to walk it out. You've already got the key item, so if it's required, you're perfectly fine. And in fact, we can even yeet it into the ground now. That is our 7th boss. That's DKC. Ogopogo, Sir Unknown in the seat at the current moment. That is a crystal. Is that our 10th key item? That is our 10th key item too, so we could even get some more levels. I am David, officially in go mode. 1 hour, 8 minutes. Allie, where do you have to go?
I think the answer is anywhere but these puns.
That is in fact the answer put in chat. Anywhere but here. Thank you very much.
We love you, Allie. You're the best.
Allie wants to make like Palom and absolutely warp out of this restream, so that's why we have such a quick run out. So that's what's going on here as we are meeting yet another impasse of just how quick of a run this is. And this is, I will say that this was a very well executed seed so far by David. And again, TJ, no slouch, mostly on David's heels. But again, Zeromus is the great equalizer here. Everyone says, oh, well, once you get this done, it is fine. No one, those people keep forgetting about the Big Bang combo platter. Unless you're sitting on 3,000+ HP, Big Bang into Medio don't care about what you did.
Yeah, the combo platter has ruined many a Z fight.
I, in fact, very recently was fallen victim to the combo platter. Although it also didn't help the fact that I had all of my characters berserked instead of keeping the healer not berserked, but that's just a me thing.
Yeah, everybody runs a seed differently. I have a question for you.
Yes, sir.
There's a lot of vehicles in Free Enterprise, right?
I think 7?
It's a lot. What would be, for this seed, the most appropriate vehicle to bring to Fabul?
Ooh, the most appropriate vehicle to bring to Fabul. I would actually say the Black Chocobo, because we didn't really get to... We did get to our music, but it wasn't really effective elsewhere. So what you do is you go outside of Baron, you drop off this poor airship, you grab yourself the Black Chocobo, and you run there.
I like it, but given the alt gauntlet there, I think that we should show up in an Impala.
You know what? I was wondering if you were going back to that, and I'm very impressed. And it appears...
Bringing the Falcon straight to Troya, you don't have to worry about getting Falcon punched when you come in here, because you're not going to be coming back. We're going to get a quick rating of the treasury. Good times.
Absolutely. And this is one of our favorite things that we love to do in Free Enterprise. Again, some little memes that we have side here. We have that is a gigantic pickup, to be completely honest. That Dwarf Artemis arrows, you know what? This is, for this seed and for this party, this is a solid 7.
Yeah. I like it. Good times.
Yeah, this is where you kind of get really tempted to go for full Quint strats, like, and the thing that kind of makes me a little bit sad is that David didn't go and do the Super Smith, because I'd love to see what that is. that could be a bunch of damage that we could be missing out on, or it could be scrap metal.
It's time! You know what? I'm not waiting for the flags. Whatever. We know what time it is, right, Davis?
In Eastern Standard Time right now, it is 8:23 p.m. Yeah, I know what time it is. What? What? What?
See that chat? See that flag over in chat? What does that mean? What does that mean?
Berserk now is calling for nap time. I've been called very helpful by Ribbon Quest. See, I'm here to impart knowledge and tell people what the actual time. I'm very happy with that. But no, Z flags, along with music, along with the color palettes you see on the characters, we like to randomize and change things up a little bit. We love to dress up Z in many different outfits, most of them done by the wonderful art wizard Deb and Sephiroth aficionado Scala Kitty, some of them done by Boardface, some of them given to us from other members of the community, from winning tournaments, and from just general suggestions. It could range from other video games, it could range from shenanigans abound. But the real question is, whose butt are we gonna kick tonight?
And also, in the name of the moon, who are we going to punish tonight?
I honestly hope that there is a little bit of Sephiroth tonight, especially since Scala is in the chat. And if you have not watched, the fact that the restreamers are doing meme shenanigans all over the place with each other, Scala is currently doing some fun stuff. You need to go rewatch what happened earlier today. I very much advocate it. The crystal is thrown though, the gauntlet is down, and what are we gonna have besides Zeromus transforming a magical girl transformation too? Yes.
I think, when I said in the name of the moon, this is not what I meant.
I mean, this is exactly what she meant when you were asking for the name of the moon. But yeah, this is Emilibus. This is exactly what you're looking for. Every day is a sale. Every sale a win. Chad has a whole bunch of comments and opinions on this. My favorite is second most terrifying face orb sprite. Yeah, that's a good call.
That's fair. That's fair. There is, in fact, one much more terrifying.
So we do have the nerfed Big Bang coming out. Poor Rosa gonna get knocked down. We're gonna get her rezzed back up and get things back going. We have a lower HP party than what you would normally have here. Normally we see Palom in the point where he is slinging nukes, but instead we have him reflecting viruses off himself. That's a really heads-up play. Rosa, honestly, she has Cure 4. She has enough armor to make it worth it. And Edge is just yeeting the kitchen sink.
Have a shuriken. Yeah, I bet you didn't see that coming.
You were not prepared.
Nobody expects the yeeted shuriken.
Actually, no one really expects the yeeted short sword on Zeromus, but I'm here for that sort of a dominance assertion. That's when you're really just throwing away the kitchen sink.
Right. And finally, at the very end, Edge has been known to take the two katanas he's wielding and throw them as a last resort.
I don't think I've ever gotten that far, but I am very tempted every once in a while, just because why not? And when asked with the question, can I? The answer truly is, sure you can.
But meanwhile, over on TJ's side, 6 the boss down, just needs to make that Luca check, and then he can be in go mode.
I got a question for the Zeromus. What did Rosa do to you, my dude? Both counter moves.
This is just smart tactics. Take the healer down.
Look, I may or may not have done tactics like this during D&D. I don't know what you're talking about. We don't focus the healer. That's just rude. But yeah, that is a big bang. That is Palom going down. We have Bacchus Wines coming out. I very much foresee this.
Ooh.
Yeah, this is going to be a painful fight for this poor Zeromus. This poor Rosa has just been taking more damage than she absolutely should have been, and Zeromus again knows how to focus the proper people here.
Black hole. Cure 4 coming around.
Yeah, Rosa with some okay items. I think we saw a life staff. We saw some Gaia armor, the tiara. Okay, it's an okay amount of gear on her. Her cures are going to not keep people topped up, but the important thing is we are getting some really decent damage popped out. Doing as mentioned by Plumeria Knight, we have about 3-ish of damage around, less than what a Burr Cecil would do. Honestly, considering who we have as a team, a little bit less damage. As I said, we didn't find a lot of good stuff. We have
Yeah.
our we have a defense sword on Kane. We have a possibility of a poison axe on Sid if we wanted. Edge has double ninja swords, which are end game weapons, but still not that. That is a nuke.
Bam! And David doing a good job here, recognizing that with the power of his party, that it's a bit marginal and he really does need to get some counter nukes up and running. Forge is a Triton, so, Palom just got his Stardust Rod.
I mean, it's a nice little stat stick, and hey, it's not a Stardust Rod; it's a Flood Rod or Flood Dagger.
Sure, Flood Dagger.
Look, the only flood that's going to come from Palom is the Flood of Spells.
Yeah, doesn't get the nerf there. We've got a Xerxes Ninja standing alone. That's not viable.
Yeah, I 100% agree. Also, Plumeria Knight, the shop was checked. We had some. The only thing really of note that I would have gone for were those Zeus gauntlets because that is something that I really want. Ribbons, not bad for Rosa for some magic defense, but
Yeah,
you've got 3 people who would say, "Can I have those Zeus gauntlets, please? Thank you."
right. And especially if like what David's doing, if you're going at Zeromus and it's a bit marginal, having that solid magic defense gear on can make or break your fight potentially. Ribbons are on that list when I'm in that thought process. Crystal and protect rings are there too, as far as give me that little more resistance to big bangs. Let me get there.
Yeah, and pointed out by Plumeria, and I was pretty sure that that was the case. I just wasn't 100%. Rosa is still rocking that heroine robe. Great for her agility and great for putting her on par with the boys when you need to go toe for toe and tit for tat. But when you're looking at needing her to actually do the job of a white mage and not an archer, unfortunately, not what you want to have on her while she has to heal because it's going to make her heals a little bit worse. You're basically looking at her on old cleric stance.
And the switch to wizard's gonna help. Should be seeing Rosa not only heal better, but probably shrug off big bangs better. Wizard doesn't quite have the raw stats for magic defense that a heroine robe does, but that 20 to wisdom, or 20 to will and 15 to wisdom relatively is going to make a huge difference.
Yeah, absolutely. Raw stats, like as much as they are beneficial in the early game, in the late game it gets even better when you can get yourself up to those next little potential breakpoints where you see yet another magic evade, where you see more magic defense, where you see yet another attack multiplier. It's they benefit the most in the beginning and the end game. The mid game, that's not that they're not important. It's just that by comparison, that's when the damage on weapons starts to really carry over. I mean, it still carries over in the end, but you are more wanting to see the stats, especially later on. And we're seeing these 300 hits come out nice and fast. You can kind of just sit here. It's fantastic.
You know what could have made this seed take a lot longer than it did? A Tella. A Tella. Because you get that early darkness, you get that Tella. You're maybe tempted. Go do D-Money and then blow up the moon. And turns out that would have, maybe, at best, there's a no-go up there.
And PJ at 1 hour 22 minutes gets his crystal. 7 objectives, same ones. Again, no go pogo, not can be seen in this seed. I'm very curious to where that one's hiding. But yeah, you're right in the fact that going to the moon, especially if you can find that pass early on, I could get behind that. But considering what everything else is and where our levels were getting and how we were getting them, I'm honestly a bigger fan, and this is just me personally. I'm a bigger fan of doing your regular checks and getting your XP from there. And I've seen some races where it does come down to who did the checks first, not who did them the most efficiently.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. No doubt.
Not saying that there's a problem with the money grind. Believe me, there's been
Sure.
numerous step charts being made for it for a reason.
Right.
We have the Baron Minip, we have the Giant Minip, we have so many of them.
And if you've watched me race, you know that I'm not the world's biggest fan of D-Money either. I'd rather get my experience through leveling. But it's the sort of thing where you could see it happening, and it just would have been a disaster on this seed.
Absolutely. We see the fight going a little bit cleaner now here for David. Good spells going out, a lot of things being slung. We are going to have another shake with the Silk Web, and the damage is again being slung out as quick as possible. This set the poor Kane, he's not given anything. Not given anything besides, hey, hold this defense sword and drink some wine. It is about the time for a little bit of a weekend wine, but I think we might let him indulge in that right now.
The nerf is in. Moving right along. TJ's got his crystal. He's setting up. We're going to see how far he goes. His party's at about the same power level that David's at the moment. But he wants a little more, which, seeing how David's going with that fight, that's a perfectly reasonable decision.
Absolutely. I don't think we're going to see all the sirens being used here, especially with the double XP that he's getting by comparison to the first bit of the grind. Maybe another 2 or 3 of them. It's very close. Lower level Z fights are very much masterful to work at because you're living on a knife's edge at that point. You've got a fight that can turn so quickly, but if you keep the nerfs coming, if you keep your healer alive, if you can keep the cures going, if the damage is going out fast enough that you're skipping certain phases, it's really, really good to watch. But then again, don't get me wrong, I also love watching 5k come out from everybody and then we just see Burr happen. Like, there's back and forth is fantastic.
Edge taking the brunt of that counter nuke. Honestly, the good answer here is just not Rosa.
Yeah, that's kind of all you're really hoping for, is Rosa doesn't eat the counter nuke, and then you can allow her to just keep getting Cure 4s off. With Sid down, these heals are now basically going to put everyone... Yeah, they basically put everybody back up to full health now, so you're not really panicking. These are kind of the 3 that you just want to just say, go, do your damage, get going, and Rosa can just keep Cure 4s. It's almost at the point where she can just eat it herself, but
it's
we have all
borderline.
seen
It's borderline.
Yeah.
Oh no, there it is. Uh-oh. Ow.
Well,
Ouch.
so the nice thing is, after this big bang, I believe, unless there's a false shake for a tip, which did not happen, I think this is a black hole after this one, so that is going to give him time to res the Rosa, get healed up, and continue on the way.
Yeah, and I misspoke earlier. The nuke that Edge took wasn't a counter nuke, it was a direct nuke. We are in phase 2, so...
Yep, and there's the black hole. Fighters are going to get one more swing that we can get a life potion, we can get some cure 3s. It's going to be a good time. But yeah, we see the unfortunate thing. They say there's no law like a Thunderclaw. Unfortunately,
and
that's scary. Yeah,
that's rough. The direct nuke goes right at the person tossing the life potion. It basically just takes your action away. And
so,
good call here. David realizing that after a couple of attempts, not going to beat his head against the wall anymore. He's going to go buy some sirens, level up a bit.
Yeah, and that is actually a great sign of a runner here, because it shows that okay, I can do this. It's more headache than what it's worth. Let's get a couple levels and make it, so to say, more manageable fight. But what that did is that changed this fight. We had David in a commanding lead, and the landscape of this race has absolutely turned. TJ, having done a little bit more of a grind, has more levels. This is a little bit of the tortoise and the hare by comparison. David was in the lead for a little bit of the race. TJ behind him. Now we're at the point where maybe going a little bit faster kind of is going to bite a little bit. TJ now very firmly in the driver's seat.
Yeah. Especially, as long as TJ was working on those sirens, I wouldn't be surprised if that's, yeah, sure enough, that is a level 52 Palom all the way to Nuke.
Yeah, I 100% agree with that, because if you're at the point where you just want Edge to get some experience to the point where, or Edge, Kane to get some experience, Rosa to get around the 2k HP mark, because that's the big thing. You really, really want Rosa to be near that 2k HP. Like, she's at 2400. I think she survives a full power 9 roll Big Bang.
TJ getting everything set up, getting his spells exactly where he wants them. Not gonna have any issues. Where did that spell go?
Yeah, and we're seeing just damage after damage come out and from this Hallam 9k viruses. It's going to be a very fun time later on. But yeah, this is going to be a fight on TJ's side where I think you even just berserk Sid and watch him go to town, and you don't use him as a chemist. But it's this is spicy here. I'm really here for this turn of events.
Yeah. Now, we say it all the time, and no matter how we say it, we can't say it often enough. You cannot take this Z fight for granted. Even TJ with his power levels cannot take this Z fight for granted. We keep him and his script in this last position for a reason.
And while we're having the runner and we're having TJ gonna fight out what his Z sprite is, the same one. I do want to do a little bit of a shout out of our runners of how they got here. TJ did get knocked down in the first round from John Brickhead, so that is him coming down and fighting from here. David has come in not only from the play-ins, he was in the Waxing Plains, got knocked down by Curios, and has managed to get his way in through this one. So this has been both runners being knocked down really quickly, and both of them still in some great tenacity and continuing to run the seeds and just throwing out some really great runs. So again, just because we're down here in the waning brackets, there is nothing wrong with the quality and the level of players that we have that are going to be showing us some fantastic races. And again, we get to see one right now.
Absolutely not. I mean, yeah, the winning bracket just means you lost one along the way. Everyone's got to, every match has to have somebody that's the runner-up. And, like, the skill level, just in the time since I've been watching, since the Gauntlet, just has progressed by leaps and bounds. And, yeah, can't say enough about how good this community is in general, and the good stuff that TJ and David has shown us during this race.
Absolutely. And again, as someone who is I did a lot of restreaming around the time of the Dual Gauntlet. I had seen so many of these runners and just seen such an incredible influx of talent. There's, between people who are the old guard, who are the new guard, just everybody has shown that there is just such a great level in all the skills that they have. There are some times where you see runners who are really more skilled with this aspect versus this aspect. Then you see runners who, like, they're just really great all around. And then we have some of our sages who have just such a great grasp of the knowledge of the game that it is really impressive. And then there are those who know the black magic that is agility. And I do not believe that is actually something you can explain. If someone comes in here and tries to talk about it, I'm going to tell you that no, quit talking black magic to me. I don't know what you're saying.
Target anchor divided by 5. Target's agility divided by 5 times anchor's agility equals. Alright.
Why are you talking? I told you, I don't want to hear black magic spells. I don't cast Nuke. The only person who needs to be casting Nuke in this fight is going to be this Palom. But yeah, we have David right behind on TJ's heels, and TJ is in the middle of this fight. I am really curious to see how this is going to go. This is a very, very solid fight. Everyone's got so many levels. We have a lot of HP all around. Palom rocking 1800 HP on both sides, 2700 on these edges essentially. Rosa's both rocking that 4-ish K. Yeah, this is a Z fight that you're just like, let's get down to business to defeat the Z. Yeah, Berserk's coming up fast and furious. Rosa doing great white mage things, and Edge going back to darting everything he possibly can. No, don't throw Dragoon Spear.
You said dart everything you can.
Not the Dragoon Spear. Dart the defense sword. Dragoon Spear's better. I want to hear the lightning come down.
At these levels, I'll take a defense sword. But I do agree that the sound effect for the Dragoon Spear is pretty awesome.
Also, Commander, as noted by chat, there may have been that Moonveil reflected by TJ. This is a fight you have to wipe. Yeah, Edge missing.
That's why those swings are missing.
You have to. This is the mage shown. You know what? Actually, hold on. This could be a big brain strat. Maybe he's counted enough damage that he knows that he doesn't want to have the fighters hit anymore, and he's going to finish off with reflex.
You know,
that is actually brilliant.
You know,
I never thought of that.
I think you're onto something here.
You're still clogging the queue with your berserkers doing actions, so it lets you get the spells off. And that's something I never would have expected to think about. This is when you kind of keep this in the back of your pocket. Holy cow. We do have the black hole coming out, we have the spells being invalidated, and we have, again, damage coming out from both sides fast and furiously.
And he has made it through the nuke phase, so... working his way through this fight. It's being a bit rough on him, definitely.
Yeah, this poor Palom gonna be going down. Oh, 700, nice roll. I thought Palom was gonna go down for sure on David's side, but I mean, you know what? He's up enough to keep slinging spells. TJ unfortunately getting a little bit of some unlucky rolls with those big bangs. Rosa going down. Poor Edge just berserked and probably going to eat another, there's another big bang coming out. This is a little bit unfortunate.
Yeah, Zeromus is going to respond to most things with nuke if you hit him with the magic directly. There's a few he just responds with weak instead, and that's not better. So you generally will only see people fire a direct spell on Zeromus at a specific time, nerfing the Big Bang as we've seen David do with Silk Webs. But other than that, generally you see people reflect spells because that doesn't trigger the counter nuke script.
Yeah, and that's where you can kind of forget. I mean, if you have everybody star veiled up, it can be a strategy where you just nuke him over and over again to where he just nukes himself back in. That's kind of how 1200 HP strats work, which is very entertaining to look at. It's not something that I've ever actually personally practiced, But watching people do them is very entertaining.
TJ going in for another round. You got this, TJ.
Absolutely. I believe that we're going to have a great another run here. Again, levels are solid. Hopefully, we get no more reflected moon veils and we get just a really, really solid run. I do think he's got the ability to get the seed finished out. It's going to be close because, again, David still has the fight-ish ahead, but the damage could still catch up. We could get a quick little cheeky finish from the hybrid and go just into finishing off a nuke. Again, I can never remember how much ish damage do you want to do before you stop with your fighters?
Um, somewhere between 40 and 45,000. I don't know the exact number, but somewhere in that range is when it's time to let your mages finish.
If anybody in chat knows more than Commander and I do, because we're just here to spout some cheeky strategies and do shenanigans, and talk about some impressive puns. That is about it. So speaking of impressive,
Rocks!
we have rocks. That is Meteo on Dave's side, and that means we are in the last bit of HP. Rosa is just going to sit there while Edge and Kane are going to finish off the show.
Marionette letting us know that it is at 45,000.
Yeah, so around the 40,000 mark, you were right. The 40,000 mark, you kind of want to just sit down and go, no, we're calming down. Speaking of down, we have David finishing off the Zeromus. The official time we will get posted in chat, I believe, was the 1 hour 38-ish minute mark. Maybe 40 seconds and change. Again, everybody, GG's to David. Well run race. Fantastic, and we in fact are joined by our winner, who is going to continue on, but unfortunately that means that TJ is been fully eliminated from the Waning Blue Moon tournament. But our winner here, David, GG's on a well-run race.
Thank you. I disagree on a couple parts on well run on my part, but
there's no such thing as a perfect race.
Absolutely.
Yeah, outside of the Z fight, honestly, I'm pretty happy with it. Well, Eblin, I did misinput a lot on the my first Mad Ogre attempt on Eblin. But outside of the Z fight, at least as far as my routing and everything goes, I'm pretty happy with it. 1 hour 10, I think it was, that I was in Go mode, and 1 hour 12 fighting Z for the first time. That's not too bad. But it reminded me of a race that I think you were actually also commenting on, Commander Leonhardt, of one of the PPL races. I don't remember which week, but I think it was the Darkness race week with a starting Darkness crystal, where I did basically this exact same thing, and I was at the Z fight before anybody else was even close, and then I came in like 10th because I just couldn't do it.
But see, you actually made really solid attempts with your lower tiered gear. You're looking at stuff where you had like lower HP by comparison. You don't have your power overwhelming weapons, which again we were commenting earlier on. Hey, we're gonna get some good stuff. Not as much as we would have liked. You still put up with a lower powered lower powered team. You put up a really good pair of Z fights before you went and gained some levels. Like again, and it showed great strength of a runner. The fact that you decided to do that.
Yeah, I'm still kind of going over everything in my head, and I think the answer to that in the end of the day was probably just do mage strats, because I was thinking about that the entire time, because I had Palom, and I had Rosa, and I knew Rydia was there. I thought, well, at any point I can go pick up that Rydia, and I thought that I needed the Kane and the Edge, both with the defense sword that Kane had and just Edge being Edge to get through the underground. But I obviously ended up not needing that when I saw that the fight was free in Calbrena and that I had a million things to dart for that antlion that ended up being there. So I don't know, maybe the answer was just ditch the Kane for Rydia and just have Edge carry you through, but I don't know. There were a lot of fights that I think you might have needed the Kane for there at the Ruby spot. It might have just been the way it shook out. I don't know. Hindsight's 2020, so it's hard to say now at this point, but
Oh yeah, Router's Relish, you would 100% believe you could change whatever you'd want, knowing exactly where to go and what to fight. But with what you did, you picked a really solid team. Again, fighters on these flag sets are probably the higher priority anyways. You took fighters and you ran very well. So speaking of, like, you mentioned the team that we had. We had Yang as one of our other characters. You did not take him, knowing you'd be gaining some levels or knowing how many levels you might gain, and you kept the Palom instead. Why keep Palom as opposed to, say, maybe go 4 Zerkers and a Rosa?
Yeah, so that was a thought that I had. So what I was going to do, my plan was to keep Palom, get Palom to Quake with that Siren on Ordeals like I did to get Virus to take on the fights in Evelyn to get Quake so that I could have something to answer a lot of the fights that could show up on Hook Route, which ended up being Kelbrenna and paying out. And I wanted a Warp Caster to take advantage of the warp glitch at Dwarf. And so my original thought was keep Palom through all of that and then pop like 1 or 2 Sirens when I get underground to get warp and no more. And then do Dwarf and then see how the rest of the underground shakes out, come back up, replace him with Yang, and then do an actual grind with Yang being slingshotted. But then what ended up happening was I saw Baigan at top of tower. I saw Golbez when I went to do my shop checks. So I went to Dwarf to do shop checks, and I made a save out front to say, well, if nothing is in the shops, I might as well peek the boss while I'm here. And I saw Golbez. And then I went to get the freebie in Feymarch, and then I ended up seeing Pale Dim, and I said to myself, I am almost in go mode. I'm just going to finish my grind right now, blow up all of this, and then check Luca Cave, go to the moon, and then, well, Luca Cave ended up being my actual go mode.
So that's a really good question. You had the ability to go to the moon with the levels that you had, and instead you decided to go and check Luca Cave. What was the draw of Luca by comparison to where some people would say would be the most dense check of bosses that you could just face check on the moon?
My logic going into that was so the moon was my next stop, but I thought, I don't think I'm particularly behind, and I think that if I orphan Luca Cave now, I will never come back and do it, and it's just a cleaner. So if how do I want to say this? I think the ceiling was very high, and I think the floor was also pretty high, because I think that I could afford to spend I think it's 30 seconds to face check it and then save scum out and then go to the moon, because I didn't think it was, I didn't really have a feel for how far ahead or behind I was at that point, but I didn't think I was playing so poorly that I was really far behind, so I thought that I could spend it, and I don't know. Does that make sense?
Oh, it
Oh,
makes
yeah, it
perfect
makes
sense.
100% sense to do it that way. And this paid out in the seed.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know. I tend to stumble over my words a little bit. Didn't know if
Oh,
my
you're
message was coming through.
Yeah, we know what you're talking about, and again, very well run. So this does keep you in the contention of running, and you do get to go up against Professor Renderer next week. How are you feeling about your next your next opponent?
Well, I'm not too sure. Professor Render is a name that I am familiar with the name. God, were they in the PPL? I can't quite remember. It sounds familiar. I can't say that I remember watching any races with them. But so because of that, I don't really have my own internal metric for how I'm stacking up against Professor Render, but we'll see how it goes. I feel decently confident at this stage, at least, that I'm not gonna just put on a terrible show. I think I can put up a fight at the very least.
Excellent. And Commander, do you have any more questions for David, our winner for this evening?
How do you feel about imps? If you like imps, I recommend watching the video back. But
It
no,
is
other
very
than that,
impressive.
good race, and good luck next week. looking forward to catching your match either on Khadgar or on the restream.
Thank you very much. And to thank both of you again for commentating all this. Ribbon Quest for tracking, Alicel for restreaming, and for restreaming. And thank you to all the great Blue Moon organizers and Red Moon organizers, and you out there in twitch.tv/Free Enterprise 2, the wonderful viewers.
Again, GG's, David, and I'm excited to see you and see how far you make it into this tournament around here.
Well, thank you very much. I'm excited to see how far I make it.
Again, that was David, our winner tonight, with a time of 1 hour, 38 minutes, 42 seconds. GG's again to him. And while we were interviewing, we had Rox, we had TJ finishing at 1 hour, 43 minutes, and 5 seconds. And we are, in fact, joined by TJ. TJ, solid race all around. GG's to you.
Thanks, GG's, everyone.
Now, I pose the same question to David. I'm going to pose it to you too, because I think this is the most interesting part of these flags. Your starting character pool. We have 4 bruisers, white mage, and 2 black mages. What was your initial thought, and why did you choose the team that you chose?
I'm usually just honestly better with the bash 'em up berserker type party. It was tempting a little bit, but I was like, you know what? I think I can make this work. Saw a curse ring in the shop, said, okay, worst comes to worst, I'll buy that. Ended up picking up one, and then at that point it was like, yeah, okay, I'm just gonna go with this, and we're just gonna brute force our way through this and take advantage of the little black mage that we picked up.
Excellent. And speaking of picking up, oh, go ahead, Commander.
No, I was just saying, yeah, makes sense. Especially on T Wildish, you've got a good chance of getting really good weapons for them, and melee characters tend to shine, and especially when that's what you're comfortable with, you lean into it.
And speaking of leaning into it, we had a little bit of looting. We had some great stuff in Watery Pass. We got some great stuff in Eblin. Unfortunately, a crystal sword for Sir Cecil of not appearing of this seed. You see that crystal sword. You see kind of not a lot of loot besides the Dragoon Spear, maybe, and the defense sword for Kane. How are you feeling with what you found when you're going into this hook route?
I kind of went that I need a little bit of luck here, and I need at least one boss that's a little bit kinder than some of the stuff you can hit through there. And I was gonna give it one shot and go hard at it, like I ended up doing, basically. Just switch things up to get through it. But I was a little surprised. But I mean, that's just the way these flags seem to work. If someone's not in the seed, you get all their good stuff. If someone's in the seed, good luck.
Very true. And one other thing from the early game before we start going to some of the later stuff, we had a little bit of divergence in item usage. We did see that David had used a siren on ordeals. Did that thought ever cross your mind where you get some little bonus infusion of XP before going and doing trap chests? Or is that just something you say, nope, we save this until we hit underground?
I was committed to using it in the underground. I felt comfortable enough that, you know, move things around if I had to get through probably what was on ordeals. So it paid off this time. I mean, other times that probably kicks you a little bit, but I'll stand by it.
No decision is right. No decision is wrong. You guys both ran fantastically to get to the underground. Speaking of, you get there and you find you have Golbez at Dwarf Castle. You've got Baigan at top of tower. You basically have 5 bosses kind of kicking around before you really even have to do any running around. And then we have Pale Dim, which you took very early, by the way. Very nicely done. What made you take that What made you confident enough to take that Pale Dim so soon?
I just thought if I could overload it and keep hitting Pale Dim and just keep making it throw it slows, that maybe I could grind it out. It was going to be like a one-shot attempt at it. If I didn't get it, I wasn't going to do it again right away. But I just thought, why not throw caution to the wind and see what happens?
And you know what? You took the fight, went really well. Again, overall, you had some great ways of going about it. You went down, you bought your sirens, you did a grind after doing some other fights. Again, very, very well run. I think you should go back and watch how you did through the seed. Never hurts to go and watch the VOD. Again, very well raced. And unfortunately, you are going to be knocked out of the tournament at this point. How did you feel about these blue moon flags, and what was your opinion on the tournament for the brief time that we had your fantastic self here?
Oh, I think the tournament's great. I enjoyed the flags. It's something different. I watched a lot of Adamant Cup and, played a little bit of everything here, kind of just jumping into this game, in the past 2, 3 months. So, thought it was a great way to do it. This one really makes you think about what you want to do and just keeps you on your toes. And it was great to jump in and give it a shot. I mean, I enjoyed it, and I'll be back next time for sure.
Excellent. And I am excited to see your growth as a runner and see you back
Here,
for
here.
the next tournament. Commander, do you have any other questions?
No, you covered it well. Just want to second that, good job, good showing. Glad I got to catch your race, and I'm looking forward to seeing what you do in the future.
Thank you.
All right. Again, thank you for joining and thank you for racing tonight. GG's one more time. Again, that was TJ, 1 hour, 43 minutes, 5 seconds. Solidly raced run. Very, very impressive. Unfortunately, as I mentioned, knocked out of the tournament, but again, a great strong showing and a great potential for the future. Commander, that seems to be all the race we have here. We did have some Z flags in chat. Are we going to nap now, or do we have other things we're doing?
No, it is not nap time. There is still plenty more free enterprise action for the night. We are going to take you over to a race already in progress on Free Enterprise 3. It is also a Blue Moon race between Endoto and the Blue Wizard. Do not spoil this race when you're over there. There will be newspapers. It will not be pleasant. Just tell them it was a great match and you should come see it.
Absolutely. And we have the commentary of E Ninja and Sheep Launcher. Fantastic pairing to have. I'm excited to listen to them go through and see what kind of shenanigans Bad Karma rolled. But again, one last big shout out to Alicel, our wonderful restreamer, rolling this fairly jetty and fairly strong seed. Ribbon Quest keeping us honest by keeping all the items up in check. Chat, you guys for joining us, and absolutely fantastically, Commander, for joining me on comms. A pleasure, as always, my friend.
Likewise, Deathus. Pleasure to be here on this great team. It was a blast. Looking forward to the next time.